There are two different authentication modes, Windows authentication and mixed mode authentication. Windows authentication always works. It cannot be disabled. It's the default one during setup. So if you don't change it to mixed mode, this is the setup that you have. It validates using Windows Principal Token. So that's Kerberos protocol. It has password policy enforcement through Windows, and also provides you support for user lockout, and it uses a trusted connection. The other option is mixed mode authentication. When you choose mixed mode authentication, Windows authentication still works, but you're provided with the additional opportunity to create your own SQL users that do not connect based on a Windows user account. For these, you create them using login names and login passwords, and every time the user connects to your database, they must provide the credentials every time. You can set optional password policy enforcement, ones that do not follow the Windows password policy enforcement. The benefits of creating these SQL users is that you can use them to connect from untrusted domains. That means that you can also support web applications and a distributed application based on preset roles in SQL Server. And those roles, for example, are DB reader, DB writer, that then allow for a preset role on the database. And now in this video, what I'm going to show you is how to change the authentication mode and how to create a user that only has a select right on the EDW schema of the Northwind Data Warehouse database. Go ahead and connect to your SQL Server using your Windows account. Then in your Object Explorer on the top node, SQL Server, right-click, go into Properties, then under Security, change from Windows Authentication mode into SQL Server and Windows Authentication mode. This is going to be the mixed version. Then go ahead and click OK. It's going to prompt you and say that some of your configuration changes will not take effect until SQL Server is restarted. So that is the next step. Hit OK, go ahead and disconnect. Then go ahead and bring up SQL Server Configuration Manager. Hit your Windows button and write Config Manager and it should show up. Then right-click on the SQL Server node and tell it to restart. Then wait until it stops and starts the service again. If SQL Server agent is not running, you can see here it's stopped on mine. Go ahead and start that as well, because we're going to be needing some of the services that it provides. Now go ahead and connect to the database engine again. Use the Windows authentication. Then here you will see security. Go ahead and fold that out. Go to login. Create new login, then let's do a data warehouse reader. Let's do that with SQL Server authentication. Put in a password and specify new password. Then you can choose here whether or not to enforce password policy. I am going to say no, don't do that, because I'm just going to read delete it afterwards. So then in server roles, that has public. Everything's going to have the public server roles. In the user mapping, I want to do Northwind DV. The default schema should be EDW. Check name. Okay. Then grant enabled. Okay. That should be it for now. Go ahead and click OK. Now, if we come back here and fold out the database, we can see that, for example, for the Northwind DB, if I go into security and users, that data warehouse reader is not going to show up. Whereas if I go into the Northwind DW, which is the data warehouse, I can see here I have a data warehouse reader. If I go ahead and open that up, I can change the membership and put in the DB data reader. So I give it select permissions on all the tables. Then I can go into securables and hit search. Then all objects belonging to the schema, and let's do stage here. I can add that. And I can go ahead and make a select deny. And for the next one, select deny, select deny, and select deny, select deny, select deny, and select deny. Now you can't do a select on all the stage table using the data warehouse reader user login. So go ahead and click OK, and let's try this. So disconnect and connect to the database engine again. Change from Windows Authentication to SQL Server Authentication Data Warehouse Reader, and type in the password you selected and hit connect. Now go ahead and find the database in Northwind DW, go into tables, and you can see I'm only provided with the tables from the EDV schema. So if I go ahead and hit select top 1000 rows on that, it should provide me with this. Now let's see if we can actually do a select, but on the stage schema. Nope, permissions denied on the object fact cells in the database Northwind DB on the schema stage. So that way you can go about setting up a user that only has read permissions on your EDV tables. Usually, of course, you do this with roles, and then you would add all the users to that role. But for this, it's just to show you how it works. Here is an overview of the built-in roles and permissions in SQL Server. And as you can see, we put the data warehouse reader in the data reader group. So the one on the upper left-hand corner, and that has a grant select on database, and then I changed it so that it has deny on all the stage table schemas. And as you can see, it's only the access admin and the security admin that has the opportunity to create schema. You can also see that there are no database level permissions inherent in the public role. That's where everybody's created. So yeah, just choose the one that fits your need. And if you want to know about role level security, I'm going to put a link to that, and you can read about how to set role level security. That could be interesting, for example, in order to be compliant with GDPR.